this reality that we call our own, there is a place where movies are discussed, a place where opinions are given on a weekly and sometimes bi-weekly basis. Opinions coming from individuals who simultaneously think that both Dog Day Afternoon and Big Green are both two of the greatest movies of all time. It is a place known simply as the Bonus Features Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the 9th episode, number 9.
Number 9.
Number 9.
Number 9.
Shout out to anyone who's a Beatles fan.
Anyone who's ever listened to the White Album.
Right. Well, anyway, welcome to the 9th edition of the Bonus Features Podcast. Got some stuff to talk about today.
We sure do. There was some stuff that we... it's been a couple weeks since we've last been with y'all.
I went out to the desert.
Yeah?
Yeah, learned about myself. Had a vision quest.
Oh, yeah? Some peyote out there?
No, I did some cool stuff, like I went to the zoo.
Oh, they were out, okay.
Yeah, no, they're out of free peyote samples at the zoo, unfortunately.
You think that they have a lot of cactus out there in the desert?
Yeah, but no, Arizona was cool.
That's good. I hear it's a fun town. Fun town, even though it's a town that's the size of a state. Strangely enough.
Would you believe it is a state?
That's so weird.
I know, right? Anyway.
All right.
Moving along.
Moving along to our news. We've got some news that we talked about last week, but due to technical difficulties did not actually get to talk about. So we're going to bring those news stories to you first, starting with Atomic Blonde sequel is indeed going to be in the works. This was confirmed by Charlize Theron at the San Francisco International Film Festival, where she said, quote, during an after-screening Q&A, we're working on a sequel. So...
yeah, that's pretty much all she said about it, and I like the first one, so I'm down. Okay, next topic.
All right, It Chapter 2 is going to start filming in Toronto this summer, but in addition to that, we have some more casting news. Bill Hader and James McAvoy are being rumored to play the adult versions of both Richie and Bill, respectively, and that is, of course, in addition to Jessica Chastain playing Beverly. This is some pretty monumental casting news, if it is indeed true. It's in talks right now, but it sounds like it's probably going to happen. What do you think?
I'm down with James McAvoy.
Mm-hmm.
I think he'll be a good counterpart to this version's Kid Bill.
Mm-hmm.
Bill Hader as Richie, I'm kind of on, but I'm sure he'll be fine.
Yeah, I think I'm okay with Bill Hader when he's... I don't know. I've never really seen anything where he's like the main protagonist, but he's always been good in supporting roles for me at least, and I think this would be good. And I love the McAvoy casting. I really haven't seen any bad McAvoy movies, but yeah, that should be fun.
And then also they have a DP.
Yes, Checo Varese, who's done mostly TV, but I think he also did the 33 or whatever was the minor movie.
Right.
I haven't seen that, but. Okay. I heard it kind of looks a little cheap, but again, I can't speak to it. But
I'm sure it's fine. Also, to be fair, he does a lot of cable TV,
right,
which has more similar cinematography to a movie.
Yes.
All right, moving on. Our next story that we meant to get to last time that we're going to go through real quick. David Leitch officially signed on to direct the Fast and the Furious spin-off Hobbs and Shaw.
I mean, David Leitch has had he's got his toe in a lot of different pools right now. He's got a lot of his name attached to a lot of different projects, and this is another one where I think he's well suited for. I mean, one of the best aspects of the Fast and Furious films are the hand-to-hand combat from each of these characters, and I think seeing them fighting in conjunction with each other will be pretty fun. I don't know, what do you think?
Well, I was thinking that is the one thing you can't, bash on with, what's his name? Jason Statham. The one thing that he always does really well, especially because he's trained martial arts pretty much his whole life, I think, is the fight scenes.
Right.
And now to have him paired up with The Rock to co-star, and then on top of that have David Leitch, who, I mean, as we point out, he cuts his teeth in this.
Oh, yeah.
To have him be with people who are versed in action,
mm-hmm.
well versed in action movies,
for sure,
together is going to make a great combo. So I'm very excited for this movie. I think it'll be maybe less vehicular oriented.
Yeah.
Which is fine, but, I suppose that's what will make this stand out as a spin-off rather than a direct continuation of the Fast and Furious series.
I think you're right.
All right, so that's going to be cool. Now on to our last story we're going to blow through from last week, technically speaking. Mulan adds Jet Li and Gong Li to the cast. So now I've got a couple major kung fu stars in here with Donnie Yen and Jet Li in one movie together. And then Gong Li, who I don't know, but apparently she's playing the villain.
Yeah, this is, I guess we talked about last week in the lost cut of last week's episode, we'll call it.
Right.
We are a little disappointed to learn that, is it Shan Yu?
Sean Yu.
Shan Yu is not going to be the villain of this movie, so no, what does he have, like a crazy looking like hawk or raven?
He's got a hawk or whatever.
Yeah, but Gong Li will indeed be playing a witch, a very powerful witch that will be the villain of said film. And Jet Li will be playing the Emperor of China.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Well, that just made things a bit interesting. Seems like this is maybe a departure from the animated... Well, definitely a departure from the animated movie. In fairness, I don't know jack shit about the original folktale.
Right.
I should probably read that at some point.
Yeah, I've actually heard that of all the, I guess, public domain stories that Disney has used for Disney movies, the Mulan story is, like, the most, like, vastly different from the movie that they gave us. But that's to be expected.
I mean, this wouldn't be the first time.
No.
You know, what's it? In Cinderella or something, the original Grimm fairy tale, the stepsisters get their eyes pecked out or whatever.
Sure.
And then, I mean, Hera was just...
Oh, yeah.
That was a pretty bad offense.
Yeah.
Because it's like, Hera's not pink and sparkly and friendly.
Right.
I think in the Greek mythology, she's the exact opposite of everything Disney made her.
Yeah, and it's all Little Mermaid is more fucked up, and actually I haven't heard much about the original Wreck-It Ralph fairy tale, but
neither have I.
But who knows? I'm sure it's quite different from the film that we were given. But anyway,
I'm sure the film is very different.
Yes, it's a bit of a departure from that story. But
yes.
This Mulan movie, this live action film, the more and more I hear about it, the more and more interested I get, and these casting choices are doing it for me.
Yeah, the one thing I guess I'll say in closing is I wonder with this cast, will it be perhaps like Hero?
Yeah, well, is this a martial arts movie?
That's what I'm kind of wondering. Is it's Disney, but it's not casted like a Disney movie, which I like.
Right. We'll see.
We'll see.
All right, moving on to the news for today's episode. We got a new trailer out for The Equalizer 2, the sequel to Antoine Fuqua's first film, Equalizer, from 2014. What did you think about that film, and what do you feel about this trailer?
I liked the first one. I didn't think it was the best thing ever. I'd probably give it a 4 out of 5. I was definitely entertained. Thought it was solid.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but I just don't see a reason for a sequel. I thought the first one was fine the way it was, and
right.
I'm sort of getting Taken sequel vibes from the trailer.
A little bit.
Because this trailer, at least from what I've seen, it doesn't look like it's doing anything that the first one didn't do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, guy tells him to back off, and he's like, don't tell me to back off. Breaks all their arms with crazy joint lock, punch, kick, Sistema crazy moves.
Yeah.
It's like, I get it. You can do cool stuff. Let's up the ante a little.
Yeah, I for one, I really loved the first Equalizer. I was kind of shocked by how much I enjoyed it. And this trailer, I feel the same way. I'm like, okay. I mean, I'll see it. There's just nothing really in this that I was like, oh, wow, that.
Yeah.
I am interested that this is the first sequel both Denzel Washington and Antoine Fuqua have attempted in their careers. They're both very long careers.
Really?
Yep.
Huh. I guess I'd never thought about that, but yeah, I guess Denzel Washington hasn't done any sequels. But again, I think even regardless with this information, it kind of just looks like more of the same. And not that again, I think I might see this probably on cable.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'll see this in theaters, but it just doesn't look like it's upping the ante like a sequel should.
Right.
All right, so moving on, we've got another trailer. A trailer for a movie people have been wanting to see. Well, we already got one, but it didn't exactly count. So now here, this time we've got the real Venom trailer.
Right.
And if you saw the thumbnail in the preview, you saw the trailer.
Pretty much.
Basically.
Why couldn't this have been the first trailer we got?
I don't know. And here's the one argument that I've been hearing a lot of people use in defense of Venom for the first one, where you see almost nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what about the teaser for Jurassic Park? Except that was one shot, slowly zooming in on an amber egg, and it was 35, 45 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
That's a different type of teaser. Or like the Hulk one from the 2003 Hulk, where it's a guy freaking out near his sink, and then you look in the mirror and his eye turns green.
Also, there's a couple differences in the directors.
Yeah.
You have Steven Spielberg, where it's like, okay, I don't care. You can show me a teaser of like dinosaur shit, like falling from the sky, and I'd be like, yep, Spielberg, sure. Like, this is like, I needed to see something here.
Right.
And they didn't do it.
And then finally this time they did, but back to the point, it's like those teasers, they're different than showing a multi-scene teaser.
Yeah, it felt like a sizzle reel without any payoff.
Right.
The first Venom.
Right. And now this time we've gotten a little bit more.
And you know what was weird is I actually thought it still kept a surprising amount close to the vest. Like if you go back, because I've seen this trailer a couple times now.
Right.
This is like pretty much just looks like the first act, because like all the action scenes, he's wearing that same like gray hoodie, and he's like getting chased by the drones, and like even that last scene where he transforms, he's like still wearing that same hoodie. So I'm imagining this is the first act of the movie.
Right. That's kind of what I thought, and I think I'm sort of okay with that, but at the same time, this second trailer, it should have had a little more to get me, now I'm on board kind of deal. Mm-hmm. And I felt like it lacked that, aside from when we finally see Venom.
See, I thought for me, the thing that really, where I was like, all right, they got it, was the point in the trailer where you see Eddie Brock beating, well, not really Eddie Brock, the symbiote, as they call it in the trailer, God. Which just bothered me to no fucking end.
Right.
But when you see the suit, you see the Venom suit beating the shit out of those people, like protecting Eddie.
Right.
And then you see Eddie like say like, why would we do that? And like you have like him talking to the symbiote, which I'd imagine is Tom Hardy in ADR doing like a crazy voice. And they're like, all right, we can only kill bad people. And it's like, we can do whatever we want. I'm like, all right, I'm good. Like this looks like Venom.
Right.
But then, of course, seeing the suit at the end of the trailer was good enough for me, too. It's just, there's nothing really, like, in that first trailer, it's like, oh, he's getting a CAT scan, and, like, he's convulsing, and now there's a, like, green, like, tendril coming up his neck. It's like, okay, like, this doesn't really signify Venom in any way to me.
Well, yeah, that was the other thing is, you could show it to someone who's like, what? This is a Marvel movie? I don't get it. Where's Captain America? Where's Iron Man?
Right.
But yeah, this one I think is definitely an improvement. It's just I'm not getting particularly strong vibes, but I'm going to hold out hope.
Yeah. I mean, there's enough of a sample size here in Tom Hardy's filmography where I'm like, he generally doesn't do bad movies anymore. Right. Like the last movie he did that was particularly bad was like This Means War. And that was like, what, like 2012 or 2011 or something?
Somewhere around that time.
Right. And he's had so many movies since then, like Legend and Locke and Revenant and everything he's done with Nolan, Inception, Dunkirk, Dark Knight Rises. He just doesn't really pick bad projects anymore. So when I see this and I see everybody attached, Sony, all this, the director and the writers, and then I see Tom Hardy's attached, I'm like, is it going to be good?
Yeah, we're not sure. I would say conventional wisdom and track record would maybe say not, but we will find out at some point. And I'd like it to be good. And if it's going to be bad, please just
go for it.
Go for it. Just go all the way if it's going to be bad. But okay, before we move on, symbiote. That was so annoying. And it's kind of like... the thing about getting little things wrong with that is it kind of creeps into me a little bit. I'm like, so what else are you going to get wrong? And they made a point of it to say it about 3 times.
Yeah.
And I said, well, have we been saying it wrong this whole time? But I went to the YouTube Google Translate thing, like the video, symbiote.
Yeah.
And then everyone, of course, in the comment section was saying, Venom brought me here.
Yeah.
And I was also there because of Venom. But just like, God, that was annoying.
Yeah. Maybe they'll fix it. We need to do emergency reshoots.
Yeah, we're going to do reshoots. It's going to cost us $75 million.
Yeah, every line where we utter what this movie's about is going to be redubbed.
Wouldn't that be... That'd be a project, I tell ya.
It'd be fun.
Yeah. All right. So moving on to other trailers. New Ant-Man and Wasp trailer.
Yes. I don't think we've actually discussed the first trailer.
I don't think so either, but I just want to point something out. This is not following the typical Marvel formula for trailers. Mm-hmm. Teaser 1 gives you little to nothing, and then maybe you're not as excited as you thought you were going to be. Mm-hmm. Then trailer 2 generally sort of gives away most of the important plot points.
Right.
Then trailer 3 leaves nothing to the imagination, beats you over the head with the plot. And then to finally, the final nails in the coffin are usually the TV spots. It's like, well, you didn't want every single scene ruined? Too bad.
Yeah.
But this one actually did the job of a trailer. It looks fun. It had, enough action sizzle reel kind of stuff in it. It shows you enough of the plot to sort of know what's going on. Mm-hmm. It seemed like most of the plot it focused on was the team dynamics, and that there's someone named Ghost, and that she's the bad guy or bad girl in this case, and it's mostly just that. So you have enough to work with. And it doesn't look like I know the entire plot, which I'm impressed. We're 2 trailers in, and I don't know everything yet.
Right. It's. I also was shocked. Like, this movie, I forgot, is coming out in July, so it's coming out pretty quick here.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I also enjoyed the trailer a lot. Ant-Man, the first one, I didn't hate it or love it. I was like, I thought it was it was fun. It was a good fun time. But this one, I think this is going to be the one that's definitely going to improve on a lot of the issues I had with the first one. I think that team dynamic between Scott Lang and Hope Van Dyne is going to be cool.
That's something I think I might have pointed this out a little earlier, but that's something I'd agree with. I think that it's almost like a buddy cop relationship movie, or are they dating or whatever, or do they imply that?
At the end, they kiss at the end, right?
Or I don't know. Either way, it's like sort of juggles those 2 dynamics, which is fun. Mm-hmm. So I'm down with that. And also, again, this will be a good break from the sort of interwoven, larger than life kind of Marvel universe story.
Mm-hmm. And the heaviness of recent Marvel adventures, which we'll get into later.
Right. And this is just like, all right, let's just have a couple heroes on a mission against a couple other villains, and we'll keep it at that. Not like, but also there, but also there's the stone, and the stone was in the other movie.
Right.
Oh, and by the way, like 3/4 of the Avengers are going to be in this.
Yeah.
Which isn't a bad thing. It's just let's pump the brakes on that, so it's not every movie. Mm-hmm. So again, I'm pretty excited for this, and honestly, the more I've seen the trailer 3 or 4 times now, and every time I watched it, I had a more positive response to it. So yeah, looking forward to this one.
Me too.
All right, next up we've got the latest in the Puppetmaster series, Puppetmaster: The Littlest Reich, premiered at Overlook Film Festival, and apparently it's been getting some pretty good reviews from people who like these movies.
That's good news.
I mean, I know Puppetmaster and a lot of the Charles Band library of films. It's not everyone's cup of tea, but I quite like them for what they are. They're silly. They're fun. I like the lore, honestly. There's a good amount of detail in the mythos.
Yeah, and what is this?
Puppetmaster.
This is like the 13th film now, so it's good to see they're keeping it fresh after all this time, right?
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, it's about as much as you can ask for.
I don't know if it's going to be fresh as much, because I'd imagine there's puppets, and there's maybe something to do with the Andre Tolan mythology.
Yeah.
And these puppets are going to kill people.
Yes.
Apparently, this movie it's not for the faint of heart.
I would imagine so.
Because of the levels of violence and the I don't give a fuck attitude it has.
Yes. Due in large part to the writer of this.
Oh, yeah.
Who I had no idea that the writer of this is S. Craig Zahler, who is an up-and-coming writer-director. I would say most famously known for his films Bone Tomahawk and Brawl in Cell Block 99. He also had a spec script, like a really legendary spec script that was floating around Hollywood for like years called The Brigands of Rattleborge. It's like a Western. But the big point about his filmography is they're all pretty goddamn violent, and he's pretty good at making like intense stories. So I was interested to see that he cared enough to lend a hand to the Puppetmaster film franchise.
Right, that's what I thought, because this guy makes, I wouldn't call them B movies, but they're certainly like indie-ish, or
right,
independent at least. So it's kind of cool to see him cross over into this.
Right.
And it's interesting if you look back, B movies, a lot of times that's where people start. Mm-hmm. With, what's his name? Peter Jackson with Bad Taste, Dead Alive.
Right.
And whatever the hell the other one was.
What, Meet the Feebles?
Yeah, Meet the Feebles, sorry. How could I forget? How dare I? But yeah. So it's cool to see him, well, because he's still up and coming. Mm-hmm. So he's 10 years from now. Yeah, so what was up with that Puppetmaster movie?
Right.
He's like making, whatever, Iron Man 7 with Pepper Potts' Iron Man or whatever by that time. Who knows? Yeah, but apparently also the film festival that this premiered at, Overlook, had some other things at it, like The Ranger, which we've talked about.
Oh, nice.
Amongst other upcoming horror and thriller. So, yeah, I'm definitely going to check this out when it comes out. Because this is one of those ones where it's kind, you know what? I'd compare it to Friday the 13th. Like, the first 2 or 3 are clearly better, but the sequels are still fun. But apparently, I don't know what it is. This one must be making waves. Mm-hmm. Just because it's so crass and inappropriate. And you know what? We need those every once in a while.
That is true.
All right, moving along. We've got our next story. Would you like to take us away?
I sure would. It seems as though we found a director for the 4th iteration of Paramount's Star Trek reboot franchise. S.J. Clarkson is going to be in line to direct the film.
Okay. I don't know who she is. Tell us more. Well,
she is a pretty reputable TV director. She's got a bunch of credits to her name, including for shows such as the new BBC show called Collateral, Marvel's The Defenders, Vinyl, Jessica Jones, Orange is the New Black, that AMC show called Turn, Bates Motel, Banshee, House.
All right, I get it.
She's directed a lot of TV.
All right, so you've convinced me, because as we've discussed with these huge blockbusters where they're part of some sort of machine of a studio, it seems good sometimes. Not always, but in a lot of cases to have TV directors.
Right.
So I'm on board with this.
Yeah, usually TV directors are a lot more flexible.
Right.
A lot of times they're a lot more professional. And they just work better under stress. So I feel like studios kind of, there's a huge untapped resource. I mean, Marvel's been doing it for a while. I mean, they did it with the Russos, and they kind of tried to start doing it with Alan Taylor, even though that kind of didn't work.
Yeah.
But the Russos panned out go to Box Office Mojo and see how much money Avengers Infinity War has made at any point in time. Like, I don't care if you're listening to this now or a week from now. It's going to be an insane amount of money. So
it's true. But more on that later.
Yes.
So back to this director, S.J. Clarkson. Is that her name?
Yes.
Yeah. So, again, this should pan out.
Yeah. I think.
Because so far, I mean, I've liked all 3. And again, who directed 3? Was that Justin Lin?
It was.
Okay. So, yeah, with all 3 of them, I didn't really notice much, an auteur stamp on it. So I think it's fine that they're using a TV director.
Yeah.
Or at least someone who's primarily a TV director.
I think, if anything, the casting, for me, is what I'm going to always look at as, like, the stamp of this franchise's, like, take, like the, what do you call it? Chris Pine is Kirk, and Zachary Quinto, and obviously what's his name? Simon Pegg is Scotty. Like, I'm always gonna think
John Cho, what is his name?
I thought it was Mark.
I'm just a moron.
Henry Cho? No, wait, no, it's John Cho. What am I talking about?
So I was right.
Yes, no, it's John Cho. But
damn you.
them Carl Urban, Zoe Saldana. I mean, that casting for me is what I'm always going to remember. Not necessarily anything about the writing, but I'm.
Do we know who's finally writing that, or is that just still up in the air?
As far as what the story's about, it seems as though we're going to be rolling with this, including Chris Hemsworth's. I think is it George Kirk is his dad? Captain Kirk's dad?
Yeah.
Captain Kirk's dad is going to be coming back this film.
Who is writing?
Oh, I don't know. It doesn't say.
Okay, so that's just still a clusterfuck of sorts.
Yeah, it's
great.
There's a couple scripts in development. Tarantino's still involved somehow with something, and he's got Mark L. Smith writing an idea that he had for a Star Trek movie that's going to be rated R. I don't know, but all I know is that S.J. Clarkson is going to be directing this forthcoming Star Trek film.
All right, so whatever that ends up being, whoever it ends up being written by, it will indeed be directed by S.J. Clarkson.
And it will probably indeed end up being seen by me.
All right, I would agree. Also, speaking of too many choices to do something involving a movie, again, this is early reports, but we had Jack Schaefer has been selected to write Black Widow, but based on, it should be worth noting, screenplay with treatment by Nicole Perlman, and also getting writing credit is David Hayter, who worked on the original script from back in the day, I think it was from all the way back in 99 or 2000. But anyway, so they've been meeting with a few directors, though, to make this thing happen.
Quite a few.
All right. Who are they?
Well, we've got some names here. I'm going to pull up my handy-dandy list. Out of the 65 names, that's right, 65 names that they had, the ones they gave us were Denise Gamze Erguven, who directed Mustang, Chloe Zhao, who directed My Brother Taught Me and The Rider.
Sorry, that's Songs My Brother Taught Me. I fucked that up when I wrote it out.
Oh, it's all right. It's Songs My Brother Taught Me and The Rider. Ama Asante, who directed Belle and a United Kingdom. Angela Robertson, who directed Professor Marston and the Wonder Women. Maggie Betts, who directed Novitiate. And those are all the names we have here. Also, as a side note, Nicole Perlman actually helped develop the treatment for this film.
I said that.
Oh, you did already. Well,
yeah. Okay, well, there you go. Just in case you forgot, folks.
Yes.
Nicole Perlman did indeed work on the treatment.
And Robert sure did pay attention. Yeah, that's a lot of names, and that's just a fraction of the names.
I've never seen any of their movies, and I watched the trailers for all of them. Mm-hmm. They all looked boring. But, you know what? I guess, someone could say right back to me in the words of the dude, yeah, well, that's like just your opinion, man.
Yes.
And it is, but I don't know. Those wouldn't be my first choices. But hey, if Marvel has shown me one thing, they're the machine. Part of another machine that is the machine, which is Disney. So, honestly, they could choose whoever. They could choose, I don't know, Skip Woods or Ed Wood.
Yeah.
Anyone whose name has wood in it.
Yes.
Who sucks at what they do.
Plural or otherwise.
Yeah, and Marvel could probably find a way to make them make a good movie.
Yeah.
Also, to be fair, I'm not saying any of these directors are hacks like that. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying these they make movies that don't look like they interest me, and I think it's a little weird. These are some of the choices. I would imagine they aren't the top choices. Thoughts, Robert?
Yeah. Also, I'd like to make a quick correction. I said Angela Robertson. It's Angela Robinson who directed Professor Marston and the Wonder Women. But
that was my fault. I typed that out wrong as well.
No, it's all good. But yeah, these are. I know we talked a bit about finding a director who has some sort of a pedigree for action in their background this. And there are. We just talked about S.J. Clarkson, who has obviously directed, Jessica Jones and the Defenders. So, I'm going to venture a guess and say she's probably choreographed a fight scene before, or shot around a fight scene that's been choreographed.
Has worked with fight scenes, maybe not choreographed.
Right. And a lot of these directors on this list, I there's not a lot of that. But again, we're also working under the assumption here that there's going to be a lot of things set in place for this director by the time they sign on. You're going to have a script there. You're going to have Marvel's people in place. They're probably going to have choreographers and all that set in place already. You were saying?
Oh, I was going to say you might have David Leitch, second unit directing and doing stunt choreography, which helps out just a wee bit.
For sure. And I think that, that's a big debate right now, which is, wow, that sounds like kind of like there's no one really directing these Marvel movies, is there? Well, that's kind of the debate right now, but
part of the machine.
It's part of the machine. They want a brand that they can sell people, and that's going to be consistent, and that's going to include their own sort of way of doing things, and they, I guess, they have that right. And we as a consumer also have the right to see movies not made by Disney. I hope. Hopefully they don't end up buying everything. But, I think that, this could end up... I'm going to see this. I don't care who's directing it. It's going to be the Marvel brand and the casting of, it's going to be obviously Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow, she's great.
See, that's kind of what I figure is like, I threw a little shade, but, I don't really care who directs this because a lot of my favorite movies, I honestly had no idea who directed them.
Right.
Like, can you name off the top of your head director Tommy Boy? I can't.
Oh, I can't either.
Doesn't matter. That's my point. It's just like any movie. Like Demolition Man. Fuck it. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Surf Ninjas. Neil Israel. I think that's his name.
Yeah.
But that's only because I looked that up recently.
Okay. But still, I definitely get it.
I would not know that as common knowledge.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that.
And I think that's especially the case with a lot of these Marvel movies. Like, who directed Ant-Man? It's like...
The guy who directed Bring It On.
Yeah, and Yes Man. It's like, okay.
Right, yeah. And that's the thing, is I think pretty much no matter what, they'll find a way to make this work. And also, who knows if these are even their top choices?
Yeah, these are just some of the names.
They could be talking to Catherine Bigelow, please.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I know that's not happening because she seems like she's... Well, at least you think she's not down with the Marvel.
Yeah. It's the same reason why I think any other director of her, I would say ilk, like a Scorsese or a Fincher, would be like, I could just totally be like, see Scorsese like sitting down and meeting and be like, you know what? No, fuck you. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to play ball. And I just, I feel like they'd be too staunch in their own filmmaking because they've been around for fuck ever.
Right.
A lot of these other directors that are signing on to do Marvel flicks have only been around for like the past 10 or 20 years.
Yeah.
So I feel like they'd be, again, like you said, more open to play ball and come to the middle of things.
And that's what I'm wondering. Like, I couldn't imagine, just based on the trailer of Novitiate, I just couldn't imagine, like, that director going to the Marvel office and then, like, they're like, and then there's going to be a big fight scene. She's like, well, why can't they just talk about Paris and smoke cigarettes? I'm just saying, like,
right.
Again, you know what? If that movie looks good to you, fine. And I know there's probably a majority disagrees with me, and that's great. I'm just saying, like, I don't know.
The point is, it's a far cry from Black Widow.
Right.
It's a different animal.
I mean, depending on how they take it, though, Black Widow could be a relatively serious spy movie if they wanted to. Mm-hmm. And I guess it could work out with one of these people, but it's got to have action in it too. And I mean, I've been telling you this for a while that I think a solo Black Widow movie would be awesome. Mm-hmm. And I'm at the end of the day, I'm glad to see that there's continuous movement on it, and it seems almost imminent at least that this is very likely to be one of the 3 releases for 2020.
Right.
And I really hope it remains that way. And based on everything we're hearing, it sounds like that's all, I don't want to say 100% certain, but it's very close to being finalized.
And hey, that's good news as far as I'm concerned.
Sure is. You know what, though? Let's name some other people who we think could direct this.
Okay.
I'm going to go with Mary Harron, who directed American Psycho.
A classic.
I mean, I don't know what she's been doing lately, but you know what? Maybe she should come out and do a little more directing.
I'd like to see Leslie Linka Glatter. She's not necessarily a household name, but she's been in the biz for a really long time. She's directed episodes of Twin Peaks, Mad Men, Homeland, Newsroom, True Blood, Chicago Code, lot of stuff, and I feel like she could kick ass.
All right, so again, this is our thing about when you work with the machine, you don't really get to be in charge. So she could play ball, as we say.
Yes.
All right. So yeah, there's our top picks. Just random people we found on IMDb who we think are rad and good at what they do.
Yes.
All right. Moving along to our next story. What is it?
We've got a new Troma feature coming out.
Oh yeah, that's right. We've got Troma is filming a feature this summer in Buffalo, and it is called Shakespeare Shitstorm. It is based on The Tempest and is said to be a spiritual sequel to Romeo and Juliet. And Lloyd Kaufman made some weird kind of jokey comment about this might be his last movie, but also his first. I don't know if he's just fucking around or if he means anything by that. It could be his last. Like he's pretty old. I'd imagine he'd still be producing afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, when I heard the news, I was very excited after just having met him in person.
Right.
Not too long ago, too.
Yeah, this should be fun. I mean, these movies are always fun. I mean, they're terrible. That's the point.
Right.
But I actually haven't seen Romeo and Juliet.
I thought you said you saw it.
I've seen what is it? Toxic Avenger. I've seen.
Okay, you've seen Toxic Avenger. Have you seen Poultrygeist?
No.
That one's actually really good because it actually has some pretty good, like, biting satire kind of shit in it.
Okay.
Even though it's, again, totally gross and out there and, just all around inappropriate and not good, but in the best way possible, like his other movies. That one had some stuff to say as well. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, they actually had a recent film that I found interesting. It's their first VR experiment. It's
really?
It's called Heart of Fartness. Troma's first experience starring the Toxic Avenger himself.
Really?
Yes.
Heart of Fartness.
Yes.
Interesting title.
Yes, of course, as always.
Okay, so yeah, I guess there's farts and also shit with what's it? Shakespeare Shitstorm.
Oh yes.
That I imagine that'd be a hard sell in the mainstream theaters.
It's possible.
Man, I'd like to see one of these in any theater.
Yeah.
Something small like Music Box or something.
It'd be fun.
It's just I couldn't imagine anyone wanting. It'd be hard to put that on your marquee.
Yeah.
Unless you're in like Reno or something. You're just like, I don't care. This is fuck you for bringing your kids anyway. Yeah. So there's that. And then our final piece of news, WB's got a new name for their DC Universe streaming service, and I guess it's just called DC Universe.
Okay.
And it's going to kick off with the animated Harley Quinn series, the live-action Titans series, as well as the sequel season to Young Justice called Young Justice Outsiders. Now, there's one thing I noticed interesting about the Harley Quinn artwork. Have you seen it?
Yes, the logo.
It reminded me. Oh, you haven't seen the art, the preview art?
Yeah, actually got it pulled up here now. Oh, okay, yeah, they're all like a bar.
Yeah, doesn't that weirdly remind you of a Ralph Bakshi type show?
Yeah.
Sort of over the top-ish, but also kind of grimy.
Yeah, it could be fun. I mean, I know how I feel about streaming services and sort of the what do you call it? The fettering of media, all going off into their own streaming devices and services. But if there's one thing I think DC has been doing very well, it's television. And that shows in
right.
the CW shows and even a show like Gotham, which bafflingly is still going. I mean, I was out after the pilot, but people like that thing.
I actually watched I watched an episode recently, and honestly, it was not a bad hour of TV.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it's not a show I'd watch every episode of, but it's pretty decent for what it is.
Yeah. I mean, they make good TV, and DC makes good animated TV, and animated most things.
Yeah, I would say lately the animated movies have been kind of hit or miss.
Yeah, that's true.
But
overall...
overall, there's no question that they make good animated content. So I'd be excited to see this Harley Quinn thing, although I kind of hope it's not like the Jimmy Palmiotti, Amanda Conner comics.
Yeah.
Because I read a volume of that, and I was just not a fan. Because it tries to be like, she's a psychopath, but she's really good deep down. It's like, no, just make her an asshole. Make don't try and do this sort of weird making all the villains good guys thing.
Right.
I mean, you can't just do the anti-hero route.
Right.
But don't make her... The problem is they kind of make her like almost too much of a hero. Mm-hmm. Like, you know how there's usually sort of a needle that kind of goes one way or the other, where, you know, Deadpool is... I would say he's pretty on the line neutral.
Yeah.
And Punisher...
It mostly leans towards good.
Yeah, but where he started... Okay, yeah, actually that's a perfect example. And Deathstroke, who of course he's modeled after, he leans bad.
Yeah.
Even though he can be neutral as well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Harley Quinn, she's always been a bad
She's
guy.
the Joker's
Girlfriend.
love interest.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, the Joker is the epitome of evil. I don't know.
Whatever.
Yeah, I feel you.
But based on the little I've seen from the artwork, I am kind of excited to see where it goes.
Yeah, and I think the live action Teen Titans show is actually something I've kind of been savoring for a while. Or
it's just
Titans, yes. But that's something I've been waiting for, just because, you know, as much as I surprisingly don't mind Teen Titans Go, I do miss, you know, that kind of serious take on that story.
Right. It looks like you'll get your fill of that.
Yeah.
What do you make of the Young Justice Outsiders?
You know what's weird is Young Justice is one of the only DC animated shows it is a blind spot for me.
Yeah, I've seen an episode here and there. I need to get on that as well.
Especially because I've heard it's fantastic and is like people always regard it as like one of the like most tragically canceled too soon like shows.
Right.
So I gotta get on it.
That's what I've been hearing. Overall, again, I like what I'm hearing for what this service is going to have. Mm-hmm. But, you know, just imagine, because this is just DC specifically, not even a Warner Brothers one.
Right.
Not you know.
Maybe this is going to end up being a platform for those forthcoming animated features, too, you know?
I would imagine that's the case, but even still, it's like, just imagine... You got a Disney one, a DC one.
Yeah.
God, like a Transformers specific one.
It's like it's the fractalization of media, man. I mean, it's like you're gonna have a Hasbro, Hasbro extended universe, fucking streaming service, and like what else?
Well, there's already a bunch of anime ones.
Yeah,
but even a lot of those like Verve,
Crunchyroll.
Yeah, but Verve is like a pretty good example of what I think is a better idea for one, because it has a bunch of other stuff aside from anime. It has Stargate, it has some other like
Harmon Quest,
Bee and Puppy Cat. I can't remember what it's called, but I think it's made by some of the same guys from Adventure Time.
Right.
But the point is, it's not just one niche thing. Where this is very specifically one niche thing.
Yeah.
Where obviously there's an audience, but again, it's just, are we just going to get nickeled and dimed to the point where by the time you have all the things you're looking for, you know, like a documentary streaming service, or this service, or that service, once they've all been yanked from Netflix or they break their deals with Netflix, it's just going to be like 3 times more expensive than cable or Netflix or Hulu or something.
Well, either way, it definitely seems as though Warner Brothers is full steam ahead on the making of DC content.
Yeah, the DC universe is definitely a go, and depending on the price, I might take the plunge if it's reasonable.
Same here.
Alrighty. And now we move on to the portion where we talk about the month of June, as this is our first episode in May, so we're always looking forward. So next month, the month of June.
Yes, and the first movie on the docket is Action Point. This is the Johnny Knoxville, Chris Pontius movie that's based on, like all the other Jackass films, actual stunts, actual bits. We talked about this in detail a couple episodes ago, and it should be fun.
It's basically Jackass with a narrative.
Right.
So, again, I think this will be fine.
Yeah. Next on the list, we got The Incredibles 2. I don't know what to make of it yet.
See, I'm kind of worried they're tricking us into seeing a sequel where its time has passed.
Yeah.
Because it looks good. It looks really good, actually.
Yeah?
I think the trailer... I thought originally when they had announced it, there was definitely room for a trailer. Without a doubt. Especially the way they left it off.
Right.
But I was a little worried about the big gap. And, with other movies, the gap can kind of kill your movie.
Yeah.
And again, Live Free or Die Hard was sort of an anomaly in that way.
Right.
Because that was, I think we might have mentioned this before, that was, for being, 20 years, give or take, since the last one, or whatever.
I think one was Die Hard with a Vengeance, 95. And
yeah,
then
exactly. So
2004, yeah, like 10 something years. It's a long time.
Whatever, 10 years, it was a long-ass gap. And
yeah.
It worked out, but that should not be something people should consider typical.
Right.
So I was a little worried about that initially, but the trailer looks pretty damn funny. Yeah.
I think it could be fun. I mean, it's Brad Bird, and this is his element, and I'm looking forward to it for sure. I got my hopes up. Next on the list, we have another film we talked about, Superfly.
Oh, hell yeah. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, this should be fun,
Your fun, good old-fashioned, we had it all. Money being thrown. Like, machine guns and strippers and good times and bad times. Like,
oh, yeah.
Another one of those good-ass gangster movies.
I think it'll be fun.
And it's about Atlanta.
Oh, yeah.
So
I don't have enough gangster flicks out of Atlanta.
I mean, I liked the last Atlanta filmed movie I saw.
What was that?
What was it? God, I'm blanking on the name. Oh, 999.
Oh, yeah.
That was filmed in Atlanta, wasn't it?
I'm pretty sure. I know it was
pretty damn sure that was Atlanta.
I know it was originally supposed to take place in L.A., but they moved it because of money reasons.
Yeah, but Atlanta's killing it. They're getting a lot of movies now.
They sure are.
Wasn't Baby Driver partly filmed in Atlanta?
I want to say it was mostly filmed in Atlanta.
Okay, that's what I thought. There was another good one out of Atlanta.
But
so Superfly could keep this going.
Superfly is definitely one of the films I'm looking at in June. The next film we have is a film I'm not necessarily looking forward to, and that is Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom.
Oh, boy.
I wasn't the biggest fan of the first Jurassic World. I didn't particularly hate it, but I wasn't... It's not Jurassic Park.
That's kind of the vibe I was getting, and also, the human characters in the original Jurassic Park, you like them enough, or you like the other characters enough, you like the, what's his name, Wayne Knight character, he works.
Yeah.
But
Sam Jackson.
Yeah, I didn't like any of the characters in World. And this just looks like more the same.
There's not really anything in this trailer where I'm like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
That, they're just, I feel like they're riding high on a lot of things we've already seen. Like, this time the dinosaurs are going to be in America. I'm like, okay, was that in 2 or 3? We've done it before. Like, I've seen that.
And, that's kind of the thing is it's like, well, we have the park, and then they get loose. I'm like, yep, just like the first one. But this time the park's on an island, and they get loose. Okay, so like Lost World, just they're just retracing the steps of the original, and so they're retracing the steps. Characters are boring, and it just doesn't look good.
Yeah, unfortunately.
All right,
the next flick is something that we are looking forward to. Under the Silver Lake.
Right, we've talked about this. It looks like a good conspiratorial, wacky sort of noirish, farcical thriller.
Yeah.
Looks like a good time.
I think so, too. And then the other...
Wow, that was awkwardly in sync.
Yeah, that was pretty neat.
Okay, one at a time now. What is the next one?
The next film on the docket is Sicario, Day of the Soldado.
Oh, yeah. Did they retitle it again?
Yes. Let it be known that this movie's actual title now, we're hoping it's official now, final, is Sicario, Day of the Soldado. It's no longer Soldado. It's no longer Sicario 2 Soldado. It's Sicario, Day of the Soldado.
Yeah, this one I'm looking forward to because the first one was good.
Yeah.
But I think there was definite room for improvement.
For sure.
So this is this is like the best this is the best case scenario for a sequel.
I think so.
So this should be pretty nifty.
Yeah.
Got James Brolin.
Well, Josh Brolin.
God damn it.
His daddy would be proud that you just name dropped him, though.
Whatever. Josh. Jesus Christ. Okay. Josh Brolin.
Yes, Josh Brolin, Benicio del Toro. Got a little Avengers Infinity War reunion here a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
Also a Sicario 1 reunion. I mean, they were in that also, but anyway.
Yeah, never mind that.
Never mind that. Yeah, no, I like Sicario 1, I guess we'll call it 2. I thought there was also some room for improvement, but hopefully this one will be the one to do so.
This looks like it's going to be a little more brutal and looks a little more action-oriented.
Yeah. This one also seems to be not beating around the bush about making its most interesting characters from the first one, the main characters.
Right.
You know, whereas I really like Emily Blunt, I feel like her character was kind of poorly written in that movie as the protagonist. She's kind of just like a spectator.
Right. She kind of reminds me a little bit of... Have you ever seen the American version of the original Godzilla?
Right, yeah.
Raymond Burgess plays this reporter, and he's like, and then this happened, and then that happened, and then I was inserted into another scene, and now you're just going to watch the scene from the original, and I'm just going to narrate it.
Yeah.
Like, he just felt kind of redundant to just be there at all.
Right. Hopefully this one is going to be even better.
Right, I think so. I would venture a guess that it will be.
And that seems to close out the month of June, at least for the films that we're interested in. Sorry, Uncle Drew.
Yeah.
I'm sorry you exist, Uncle Drew, the movie.
I could see some Uncle Drew.
I mean, I could see it, but, like, Jesus God. I only want to see it because, like, I was like, oh, man, that's right, Lisa Leslie. Remember Lisa Leslie? Like,
and Shaq is in it?
Yeah, Shaq. I'm like, yeah. Well, Shaq I see all the time. You know, he's in those
That's true.
general commercials, but I'm like, Lisa Leslie. I don't know, just like some people I'm like, oh, these are some like NBA and, you know, basketball stars that faded into obscurity, but we are spending way too much time talking about this Uncle Drew movie.
Yeah, that's enough Uncle Drew.
Sorry.
It's time to move on to the main event of this podcast.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to talk about the thing we've been talking about an awful fucking lot.
It's our I Feel Pretty review?
Yes.
Yes. You've been waiting for it.
It was so funny.
Oh, man. I wish I could say the same.
No, I didn't. Wait, did you really see it?
Oh, I've seen it.
Oh, God.
It's bad.
Yeah, that's
There's my mini review. It sucks. Don't fucking watch it.
It sucks. 1 out of 5. All right, there's our
bad.
I Feel Pretty review. No, we're not talking about that. I'm sorry you saw that.
Yeah, no,
Wow.
it's fine.
All right, Jesus Christ.
I'm almost over it.
All right, we're wasting too much time. It's time to talk about Avengers Infinity War.
Yes.
Where do I even begin? Okay, so we're going to start with some non-spoiler items.
Well, I guess overall, how'd you feel about it?
Well, overall, I felt it was a good movie. It was not, in a lot of ways, it was not what I expected. And when I say that, I think it was kind of a good and a bad thing.
I feel you there.
The one thing I can say without, I don't know if this counts really as a spoiler. I'll go into more detail about this in the spoiler section, but it didn't really follow any sort of traditional structure.
No, I'd say that's not a spoiler. I think you're safe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel you there, too. I think it definitely is. It feels different.
It almost feels like a gigantic episode of an hour-long drama. Mm-hmm. You know, where there'll be an A through an F story.
Right.
And again, they're all linked together by some stuff, but it just felt like there's a lot of storylines to follow.
Right.
Which I thought was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
But at times I was also kind of like, well, fuck that, go back to that one.
Right.
Which, again, it sort of was interesting, but at other times it was a slight detriment.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, you had a lot of action scenes that were really, really memorable.
Mm-hmm.
You had a lot of other types of scenes in this. That was the other thing, is there's usually some sort of lead up and then the battles. Mm-hmm. But this had a lot of those moments in between battles and lead ups. There's a lot of other pieces moving around, because you have all the Infinity Stones. You have the Black Order, or is that what they're called? The Black Order.
Yeah.
The Black Order, They did the different groups of heroes all hanging out together.
Meeting for the first time, some of
meeting
them.
at the that was the other thing, is some of them were meeting for the first time, and that was a big moment. So again, there's a lot of different things to juggle aside from, dialogue and then people beating the shit out of each other.
Right. I felt similarly. I will echo many of your opinions on the film. I will say, overall, I thought it was very, very good. Even soft great. I soft loved it, which is, even though I think we gave it the same score, which is, preliminarily speaking, if you want to avoid spoilers, I give it like an 8 out of 10.
And I would give it a 4 out of 5.
Yeah. And the reason I say that is because I really can't get into the critiques I have for this movie without getting into spoilers, because they are pretty much, my critiques and my problems with the movie are all spoilerific in the way.
Well, here's one thing that isn't spoilerific. Mm-hmm. Didn't you think that the score was a bit better than most Marvel movies?
Oh, I mean, that for sure. I mean, I think that's partially because the man, the myth, the legend, Alan Silvestri, did the score.
I mean, he's done a couple Marvels, though.
Yeah, I mean, he's done... I know he did Cap 1, and he's done all the Avengers. Actually, no, that's not true. He did Avengers 1, and I don't think he did do Avengers 2. I think that was Danny Elfman that did Avengers 2, strangely enough.
Oh, okay.
If I'm right. I'm pretty sure it was him. But, yeah, the music was great, and I
just thought it was more varied, because Marvel's scores, not that they're bad, they've just been a lot of them have just been very serviceable.
They've been a little like kind of stale.
Like, da-da-da-da-da-da-da, like you have the horns at this part, and you have the strings when you need the sad parts.
Right.
This, I think, had a lot, it was more musical, so to speak. Mm-hmm. Not so much that it was a score that was just kind of
in your face,
in the background or in your face. This, it felt more...
There were moments,
melodic.
Yeah, there were moments where the score aided certain scenes, we'll say.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
We'll I was going to say there's a specific part of the score that we'll get into in spoilers. I don't know if we're thinking about the same thing. I think we might be, though.
Yes. It's like I was back in Castaway listening to fucking Alan Silvestri's score for that.
Right.
God.
So what did you think of the Black Order overall?
I liked him. I like that one guy, what's his name? Ebony Maw? The like priest guy, like the priest,
the guy who Iron Man calls Squidward.
Right.
Oops, spoiler, but not really. Who cares?
I mean, yeah, it's a funny bit.
Whatever. It's a quip.
I liked it. I liked that character. I liked all of them, really. I mean, I thought they were all.
That's one thing I thought I was. See, that was one of those good and bad things, because I really liked them, but I almost wish there was maybe a little more backstory on them, and 2, again with the Man of Steel, I'm like, I could have used one more fight scene with some of the Black Order.
I just wanted more in general from them. I agree.
Yeah.
I liked them a lot, and I liked how their different fighting styles and powers lent to different kinds of set pieces with different kinds of heroes that they're fighting.
Right. See, that's one thing I noticed this did particularly well, is again, action is an art, people, and this movie pretty much proves that, because with the punching heroes, they have to punch, and then with the telekinesis and powers,
ray beam people,
what we call there's ray beams and punchers, really, when you break down superheroes. So you got your Doctor Strange types and your Captain America types, and they really did a good job of utilizing the powers to make sense in the context of the battle.
Yeah, in like one battle, sometimes even like you'd have, there's a team of 2 ray beamers and 3 punchers going up against a ray beamer. Like, these are 2 ray beamers and 4 punchers going up against a puncher. Like, shit like that, where I'm like, this is... I felt like I got a good balanced breakfast out of this movie.
Exactly. That's the thing, is like, the obvious problem with, let's say, like martial arts movies are, obviously they're going to have like, if you're breaking it down to normal action movies, you got your car chases, your gun fights, your hand-to-hand fights. Like kung fu movies obviously are going to be heavy on the hand-to-hand fights,
right?
And with good ones, you don't care, and that's just how it is. Like Enter the Dragon. But sometimes you're like, man, they could have used a little more variation,
right? And
this definitely made great use of variation. Especially because you had, a smorgasbord of heroes, if you will, and a smorgasbord of villains. Just, having at it with all their different powers. So it was very well done in that regard.
Oh, yeah. I definitely agree. A veritable cornucopia of heroes to feast on.
Yes.
That's as most eloquently and thesaurously I could put that.
Yeah.
But one of the other big things I don't think we've even touched on yet is Thanos.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say, Thanos in this he was a lot better than I was expecting. Because I kind of didn't know what to make of it. Like, Josh Brolin didn't exactly jump out as, yes, that's the guy.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, neither did Scarlet Widow necessarily as... Jesus Christ.
Scarlet Witch or Black Widow?
No, I meant Scarlett Johansson
as Black Widow.
Skipping words there. Yeah, but she wasn't exactly who I would have first imagined, but she's turned out to do a really good job as well.
Yeah.
And especially in this, I thought she was pretty badass.
Yeah.
She has a line or two where I'm like, damn.
Yeah, no, I agree, especially with that, and I agree with Thanos. I think, for me, the thing I will say is Josh Brolin, for me, really brings it, and he kind of disappears into this role. And I thought Thanos was very good. I have problems with certain things I can't talk about with Thanos yet.
Is it more writing things, Rick?
Yes, very much so.
Okay, I think I know what you might be saying, but yeah, I thought overall his performance I was kind of surprised, really.
Yeah, I mean, he's really, as I said, like he really kills it.
That's the other thing is, in addition to, Josh Brolin's performance, again, I completely forget it's him, but also that CGI for him is amazing.
Yeah.
That's the kind of CGI where these animators need a round of applause.
I'd say all the CGI for everything, like all the effects. There's not really any effect in this where I'm like,
no,
it kind of all works.
Not at all, but especially, I literally kept forgetting that's not a real person.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's really, really good.
Yeah.
And I would say you can't really. There's no, again, to your point, there's none of those scenes where it's like clearly matted over or something. It looks like it's all part of the scene.
Right.
And just in general, to your point, special effects were top notch here.
Mm-hmm.
They know how to use a budget.
Yeah, and
these Marvel guys.
Boy, did they have a budget to use.
Well, again, you've got so much stuff. There's also a lot of huge scenes.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of science fiction machinery.
Yeah.
Which looked like a really good mix of CGI and a bit of practical sets.
Yeah, there's some things that are, in certain set pieces, take turns where you're like, okay, so there goes the budget with that. Like, there goes like a 10-digit budget like addition. You're like something insane where you're like, how are you gonna do that? How are you gonna shoot that practically? But yeah, I really enjoyed the action overall too.
I wanted more, damn it, more.
Yeah,
because,
me too.
It kind of left me craving more.
Yeah,
and yeah, so just overall in general, it was smart that they split it off into groups.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like 100 stories. It was more like about 5 or 6 stories.
Yeah, it wasn't a clusterfuck.
Yeah, they were smart to do that. So you had your little groups. You had some punching, some lightning, some machinery, a little bit of machine gunning.
Yep.
You got your magic, your
all sorts of powers
and ray beams and lions and tigers and bears. Oh my!
Oh yes,
lots of crazy shit. So yes, overall, it worked on a number of levels.
Yeah.
One thing I'll say before we move on to spoilers is some of the quips were a little eh.
Yeah.
They didn't really bug me, but I mean, I know that this is by far probably the darkest tone-wise of the Marvel movies.
That's for sure.
And I would say it's not as glum as, say, like a Punisher movie,
right?
For example, but it's definitely the darkest of the Marvel movies. And I felt like some of the quips are like, just shut up and let the fucking scene be what it is.
Yeah.
Like, don't be so afraid to just have a serious moment. But I think there was also some pretty decent comedic moments.
Yeah, a lot of good. For every one crappy one-liner, I felt like there was like at least 2 or 3 where I'm like, okay.
Right. That's the thing, is I thought there's a better ratio of good. There's a bigger ratio of good to bad jokes. And also the bad ones were at least quick.
Yeah.
They didn't just keep fucking going where you're like, please stop.
Yeah.
All right, so now that our awkward, stifled conversation has been completely dried up for the
Neutered.
spoilers.
Yeah,
because it's just impossible to talk about this movie without spoilers. We are now moving on to spoilers.
The actual main event.
Yes, spoilers. Well,
All right.
To start off, let's go through our favorite scenes. I'll name a couple, and then I will ask you to name a couple. Here's another thing. Speaking of, well, shit, the negatives were kind of positives. Mm-hmm. One of my favorite scenes was the opening.
Oh yeah. Where
Thanos versus Hulk.
Picks up right after Ragnarok.
Right. Mm-hmm. So you got Thanos versus Hulk. That was a badass fight scene.
It was.
Because you got a heavyweight bout.
You sure do.
And it was pretty excellent.
I loved it. I mean, it was well done in terms of effects too, because I mean that's just basically 2 giant CGI things fighting.
But it felt like an actual fight, and
it did.
Part of that was, I love when they do this, and I think Jackie Chan might be the absolute best at this of all time, is adding character to your fight.
Yeah.
Have you seen that documentary ever where they talk about, in this fight, Jackie Chan's affinity for his culture keeps him in the fight, but also protecting the Ming vase, or like whatever. It's in Rush Hour, so he's like trying to protect the vase, so he's also fighting the guys.
Right.
I felt the character was really, really apparent in Thanos in his fight with Hulk, because Hulk's just a brute, even though Banner's smart, but their personalities are separate. So you got Hulk's brute kind of brawler fighting style, and you got Thanos who's all prim and proper, and he's the king and a god. And what was it? What's the Squidward guy's name?
Ebony Maw.
Ebony Maw's just like, just let him have his fun.
Yeah.
And you see Thanos kind of like, I think does he like stretch a little?
A little bit.
Yeah, he's like, stretch and 1, 2, 2, 3, 2. Just like practicing his combat. I'm exaggerating, but like he was definitely like, all right, I'm gonna get ready for a fight. Like he's treating it like a sporting event, even though what's at stake is much more than a sporting event.
Right.
And again, I love when they do that, because that's the difference between like a generic, like terribly made fight scene where it's just like this could be anyone, and it's just all lazily, badly choreographed haymakers.
Right.
This felt like a cool ass like a fucking UFC fight or something,
right.
but with even more ridiculous
circumstances.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that was my favorite scene of mine. What were you gonna say?
Well, no, I was just gonna say in that scene they kind of just like go straight for the throat in that entirely. Like they let you know what this movie's gonna be like in the first 5 minutes.
Oh yeah, because in that scene he's like, oh yeah, I'm also gonna kill Loki and Heimdall.
Yeah,
shit's going down.
And Thor apparently for a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, it seems as though.
Well, sort of.
Because
he throws him out, right?
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, Hulk comes down and he comes down into the Sanctum Santorum. Santorum.
Yeah.
We're
both really big fans of the Doctor Strange comics.
Yes, I hesitated because I'm like, is that Rick Santorum or no? But no, he comes down and he's like, I just saw Thor die or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
well, but we know he's obviously not dead. But fuck, I lost my train of thought. Okay,
favorite scenes.
Right. So that scene was really cool. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, and then there was that part of it too, in addition to the fight.
Right.
So there's a lot going on in that.
Oh yeah.
Just right off the bat, it's like, yep, this is how it's going to be. Mm-hmm. My other favorite scene was also another fight scene. Mm-hmm. Renegade Avengers v Black Order in, where's it, Glasgow or something?
Oh yeah.
That was awesome.
The Cap entrance.
Yeah, you had Cap and Black Widow. She kills one of the Black Order dudes, and it's really badass. Yeah. And isn't that the time where she says that line where, like, it's just like, we'll kill you if we have to, or some crazy shit where it's like, ooh, so this is the Renegade Avengers.
Yeah.
they're living by different standards than
Right.
the original team.
Right.
So I just thought that whole fight was awesome. And that was another one where it's just like, even though it was just in a warehouse, they just made perfect use of all the characters, their fighting styles,
Right.
and their personalities.
I'd
So
say.
what were your two favorite scenes?
Oh, right. So, well, I pretty much loved. And this is weird. I loved anything involving Thor.
Yeah.
I thought Thor had surprisingly the most to do in this movie, and like
In a lot of ways.
in a lot of ways, and like, I mean, just his arc as being, going from like from losing everything to being like, fuck it, what else do I have to lose, to literally being the last bulwark in between Thanos and Thanos getting what he wants. Like, I was just like, wow, Thor is kind of like low-key the most important, no pun intended, low-key,
yeah.
like the most important character in this whole thing. You know,
Right.
like, you can make an argument that he is.
What'd you think about that? So would you say your favorite scene would maybe be the part where he's getting the hammer built?
The Stormbreaker.
The Stormbreaker?
Oh,
How
it's
cool
great.
was that?
That was fantastic. And his entrance into that Battle of Wakanda is just like,
Yeah.
that's a comic book. It sure is.
Yeah, so you'd say the Stormbreaker.
Yeah, that would.
And again, that was a cool sci-fi fantasy moment.
Right.
It wasn't necessarily, either one or the other, a cool dialogue or punching.
Yeah.
It was like, we're trying to add more stuff here.
Yeah.
And I liked that.
Yeah, so there was that. The other scene that I really enjoyed was a certain cameo.
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
Who's that?
Well, so we're getting the Soul Stone, right?
Right.
And Gamora and Thanos they're heading on over to, I don't know what the name of the planet's called, but it's
Nowhere?
Well, no, it's like the planet where the Soul Stone is. It's called something. I can't remember the name.
Xanadu.
Yeah, we'll call it Xanadu.
Xanadu.
But they go there, and then all of a sudden you hear, a familiar-ish voice, and you see a cloaked figure come out, and it's fucking Red Skull, like looking all Seventh Seal-y and shit, and you're like, what the fuck? I literally, like, I didn't shout it, but I verbally said, like, to myself, like, in the theater full of children, I was like, what the fuck? And like, in kind of an awesome, it was an awesome, like, little nod to, like, yeah, we know all the shit about, like, Red Skull, like, his spirit living on and shit, and like the Secret Wars, like all that canon shit. Like,
Well, especially in the early comics,
Right.
he plays a seminal role in the Cosmic Cube's existence.
exactly, and like,
Because he makes like all the sleepers and all
Right.
that, gets all like crazy armor.
yeah, and I loved it. I'm like, it just shocked me. Like, I didn't expect to ever see Red Skull again, and it took us, what is it, 10 movies, but we're back.
But he's back, damn it. And I kind of like how he's like, he has this newfound sense of awareness.
Right.
He's kind of like, you fools, I've seen lots in my time. He's just like, it's like, man, if you'd seen the shit I've seen, man.
Man.
I've seen a lot.
Yeah, but I love those two scenes, and I guess overall, just I liked every scene involving like, oh, these two characters are gonna meet up. What's that gonna be like?
Yeah.
Like Star-Lord and Iron Man. Like, that's like the coveted, like, what are those two big personalities gonna be like in the same room? And it works to great effect, I think.
What'd you think of the Thor Star-Lord stuff?
Oh, that was fun.
I thought it was like kind of funny.
Yeah,
Like some of it, like it was a little
overkill.
Yeah.
Like Chris Pratt, like trying to do Chris Hemsworth's voice.
I thought
I'm
it was like
okay, come
sort
on.
of funny, but it's like that was like the one time where I'm kind of like, all right, let's stop this right now.
I more so liked the Thor, Groot, and Rocket stuff.
Yeah.
Which is weird. Like, I didn't think that would end up being like one of my
like-
favorite pairings.
It's like the rabbit is right.
Yeah.
I kind of liked how that sort of played back to the old Thor.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Because when he's in space, he's back to kind of being a fish out of water, which is the one thing I think, because we've talked about the first Thor is a tiny bit divisive. I think
There are people who don't like it.
the second Thor is
Pretty
divisive.
pretty divisive.
But yeah, the first one, I think one thing they did really well that I wish it got a little more cred for is I loved the fish out of water stuff. Mm-hmm. And this was kind of done again because, again, he's taken completely out of his element with
Right.
this whole new exploration of space.
Mm-hmm.
So that was all pretty neat. I like to, what was it? Or Shuri, it's just like, God, fucking dumbasses, why didn't you try this? And
yeah.
Like, oh, because I
like,
didn't
yeah,
think
we
of
didn't
it.
think of that.
She's like, noobs.
Yeah.
I want a little more Shuri.
Yeah.
Just because out of the Black Panther characters, aside from, what's his name? Well, Black Panther, she's probably my second favorite of them.
Yeah, I thought she was a welcomed addition to the MCU crew.
So it's good to see her back in action.
I was glad to see her.
Also, the thing about the Wakanda battle, while on the subject of Black Panther, that was the one time I'm like, more, damn it, more!
Yeah.
Because the parts you got were so great, but this is one thing I thought I had a little problem with. Mm-hmm. The intercutting, because there's a lot of interesting stuff going on.
Yeah.
You kind of get so fixated on one thing or the other. Like, well, fuck this. Go back to, like, even though the Iron Man and Doctor Strange stuff was cool, you're like, fuck this. I want to see more Renegade Avengers stuff.
Yeah.
And then we were at the Renegade Avengers, you're like, but what's happening to Thor?
Yeah, they got there's the Infinity Gauntlet in the other scene, you know, like, what's going on there?
In the C plot, and in the B plot, you got this.
Right.
And I felt like there was one part particular in the Wakanda battle. It was just like 5 minutes of them fighting. I'm like, all right, let's keep this going. Mm-hmm. And then they just cut away. I'm like, what the hell? What the hell?
Yeah.
I want more, damn it.
Yeah. I that didn't bother me so much. There were other things that bothered me for the most part. Are we getting into cons now, or are we still gushing?
Well, no, we can do both. I mean, I'm just kind of going down the list.
Okay.
So, I guess we talked favorite scenes. Oh,
right.
Yeah, let's talk about the obvious. All of those deaths. Starting with the quote-unquote real deaths.
Yeah, well.
So Loki gets strangled, and Heimdall gets stabbed in the same scene.
Yes, and then Gamora gets thrown off a cliff.
Oh,
pretty unceremoniously.
She's like, you won't, dude. And he's like, oh, really?
Yeah. She's like, tears. You have nothing that you love more than yourself. And I just love that everybody in the theater was like, dude, no.
Yeah.
And like Red Skull's like, those tears aren't for him or whatever.
That's what I'm saying, is his new heightened awareness. He's like, foolish mortal, if only you've seen what I've seen.
Yeah. I'm like, Red Skull gets it. Like, run.
Yeah.
What are you doing? But, they die.
I kind of was a little disappointed with that because, I mean, she'll be back, obviously, but I would imagine her screen time's going to be cut considerably in 4.
Yeah.
So I wanted more out of Gamora in general, like this whole Marvel series, because Zoe Saldana's good, and I think she's done some cool stuff.
Yeah.
But in the comics, she just fucking wrecks shit, man.
Yeah.
She's pretty crazy intense.
Well, there's a lot of that in this where it's like Drax is he's basically like the Curly of the MCU, where it's just like, whereas in the comics, he kills Thanos, right? Am I wrong? Doesn't he kill Thanos in some arc? Or am I losing it?
I have no idea, but he's much more formidable.
Yeah, so I'm like, he gets turned into like blocks in this.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that shit?
Which stone is that?
The Reality Stone?
That's the red one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of cool.
It was cool, but like, and he's basically there for mostly comic relief. And to be fair, I would say most of the Guardians are, except for like Gamora and Star-Lord.
Right. Well, I'd say Star-Lord had a decent bit of comedy in there.
In this, but he's also, Star-Lord is he's the piece of shit in this movie. He's the reason why everyone dies.
How's that?
Well, he
gives away their position?
Well, not even that. He beat the shit out. He was beating the shit out of Thanos, so they're trying to get the gauntlet off of him. Like, because he's like, you killed Gamora, blah, 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 and like he starts beating him up, and then like, of course, Thanos gets the upper hand, and he like grabs the rim of the gauntlet back onto his hand and like drops a fucking moon on the fucking Iron Man and shit, which was crazy, by the way. That was what I was referring to, is like, how do you write that? Thanos drops a moon on Iron Man.
Well, Thanos drops a moon on Iron Man.
It's fucking awesome. But, yeah. What were we talking about? Oh, yeah. So there are certain characters in this I felt like were a little shortchanged. Yeah. Not so much that I was really that bothered by it. I was surprised I wasn't bothered at kind of how shortchanged Steve Rogers gets.
This is just a bias thing, because My favorite two characters, probably from the comics, I mean, of these characters that appear,
Right.
my favorites are probably Black Widow, Captain America, and Falcon.
Okay.
So basically just like the SHIELD crew, if you will.
Right. I can definitely see now how Captain America Civil War is more of a Captain America movie than an Avengers movie. Because that felt way more like Captain America's story. And this is not. It's not his story.
No, it's definitely not. And I kind of expected that, but it's just that, obviously, again, that's just because of my bias.
Yeah.
That I wanted more Cap and more Black. Well, just the whole Renegade Avengers. I want a little bit more of them.
Right, more Nomad.
Yeah, more Nomad, Black Widow, and Falcon and Co.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we'll get a little more of that. I would imagine there's going to be more of them in 4. Because I think, I don't know if we've discussed this, but I think some other people have said this. I've talked about this with a couple of my friends. I think the next one is going to be the original 6, if you will, are going to be the biggest parts.
Right.
Especially because they're sort of fractioned off, and then they'll kind of be like, remember how we used to be a team once upon a time? Well, we need to get over our shit. And that was the other thing I was going to say. There's still, in addition to all the deaths and all the other stuff, and the ending, which I'll get to in a second, there's a lot of stones left unturned. And one of them is there's been absolutely no effort yet for the mending between the two sides of Civil War.
That is true.
Yeah, so it's just like, how do you put it? Yeah, they just left that completely open.
Yeah,
and
so they're probably going to have to come together here.
Right, exactly. Like, we got to unite because we got to get over our bullshit. And I kind of thought that was cool that they left that way.
Right.
That there's a lot left open. And now we'll, of course, talk about the ending.
Yes.
First of all, when the credits rolled and it was playing that crazy, like, Baroque-esque string quartet stuff, I'm like, huh.
Yeah.
It was almost like the music helped impress upon your mind, yep, that just happened.
Yeah.
So you have Thanos snaps his fingers. Half the universe is just dead or whatever.
Right.
I loved the way they took their time to make it a little extra creepy because they're fading away and you're like, what the hell is this? Okay, never mind. Just ignore my neighbors. They're loud. they're loud and annoying. Anyway, so Thanos snaps his fingers and half the people are all dying and they're turning to dust slowly, and I thought that was pretty rad. So, yeah, your thoughts on that? So we're disagreeing on this.
Well, the only reason I disagree is because I remember watching it and I remember thinking to myself, wow, this is really cool, or this is really different and it's a leap. Then they killed like 10 more people and I'm like, all right.
Okay, now it's Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, I'm
They're
like,
going to collect the
there's
Dragon
no way.
Balls and Shenron is going to wish them back.
Right, and I'm like, there is no way that that's going to happen. That's going to stay the way it is. And the fact that I'm saying that is like, I can't, for the life of me, say that it's entirely effective. Was I upset when Spider-Man died? Oh, hell yeah, it was very sad. But I didn't walk out of the theater as upset as I was unsatisfied. And I know that, like, people would say, well, that's the point, Robert. It's supposed to be unsatisfying. Wait.
Yeah.
You can make a fucking sad movie satisfying. You know, a sad ending can be satisfying. The Green Mile is sad as fuck, but the ending is satisfying because it makes sense.
Or Gladiator.
This was like, it felt like a deliberate attempt to show people, like, see, we can do this. Or, like, it felt like a bit of a bluff, you know?
I get what you're saying, but just in the moment of the movie, I was digging it.
Oh, I get that, too, yeah.
I think that's a fair criticism that almost all of them will be back.
Yeah.
But I think the bigger question is, what about what we call the legit deaths? What do you think about them? Because at the same time, we figure that the snap and then half the universe is gone. We figure they're all going to be back, obviously.
Right.
But it's a matter of how cool is it going to be, how they handle bringing them back. Mm-hmm. And now that one of the stones, the green one, the time loop, whatever. What the hell is it called?
Time stone?
Time stone. Duh.
Yeah.
Wow. Really dug deep on that one. Anyway,
Right.
the time stone can just bring everything back. So that's really an excuse to bring back everyone.
Yeah.
But I guess it depends on the time stone's rules.
Yeah.
Would going back as far as Heimdall and Loki, for instance, would that mean they have to do everything else over?
That's a good point. How far would they have to go back?
Well, that's what I mean. I don't understand how this fictional, non-existent time stone works. What is this? What are its stupid rules?
Yeah, there are a lot of questions that I had coming out of that ending. But
so overall, do you think they're going to bring back the legit dead people?
I think at least Loki. I think at least Gamora will come back. Loki is possible. I don't think they give a fuck about Heimdall, if I'm being honest, which is sad. But God damn it, it's true. I think he's dead.
That's what happened to all of Thor's dudes.
In Thor Ragnarok, for like in 2 seconds, they just get killed unceremoniously.
Right.
I was like, what the hell?
Because the Warriors 3, are they just dead?
They're fucking dead.
Oh, wow. Even Lady Sif? Or the Warriors 3 and Lady Sif?
I don't know. Where was Sif? Because I know...
Was she even in Ragnarok, or am I crazy?
I don't know. I know Ray Stevenson, is it? That plays a big, like, Viking-looking guy?
Volstagg.
Yeah, he's dead.
There's
the
Volstagg,
rapier guy is dead.
Heimdall and... Wait, shit. There's
the Chinese guy, right?
Fandril, and I can't remember his name. Is it Hogan?
Yeah.
Or Hogun. Whatever.
Something like that.
Some Hogan, Fandril, and Volstagg. So they're just all dead.
They all died. Well, the Asian guy died last because he was like the last stand between Hela and... Yeah. But I know Volstagg and the rapier guy get killed like immediately.
All right, so Thor's people are all dead.
Yes.
So... But God, what the fuck were we even talking about?
What are the deaths that are going to stay?
Okay, so those, you think those are going to stay? You think maybe Loki will be back? Mm-hmm. Because Loki is a trickster after all.
That is true.
And Gamora, I feel like just because of her relation to Thanos.
Yeah, that is true. I had some other questions too.
Okay, what do you got?
How the fuck did Thor survive that ship being blown up?
He's a god?
Yeah, but like homie, that Ebony Maw gets thrown into space and he turns into a popsicle. Why not Thor?
He just lightning heats himself. Fuck, I don't know.
It occurred to me. I was like, okay, that's weird. Also, where the fuck is Scarlet Witch's accent?
Yeah, it was just gone. She's just like, yep, I've just lived in America and I guess Scotland long enough where it's just gone.
It's Americanized. Vision uploaded a
maybe someone
program.
Maybe someone was just like, yeah, the accent, it kind of sucked. Can you just stop that?
People will forget.
Yeah, people won't care. They won't notice.
Well, I did.
Well, yeah.
I was there. I saw it.
Yeah, apparently both of us noticed.
Yeah.
I didn't really give a rat's ass. Mm-hmm. I thought her fight scenes were all pretty rad.
Yeah, and I thought the ending sort of beat with her and Vision was kind of great.
Oh, yeah, Vision's... Okay, is Vision legit dead?
Again, if we're talking time travel here, then no.
Okay.
They could just...
Oh, okay, let's... Okay.
Because
okay,
if the time stone's in play, then fuck it. I think everybody's death could be reversed, you know?
Okay, but somehow you think Heimdall's getting left out.
It's possible. I've never seen an effort on the part of Marvel to be like, yeah, Heimdall matters, except for kind of in Thor Ragnarok, where he's like...
He leads the
resistance of...
Yeah, he leads a little bit of the
Asgard.
charge.
Yeah. And then it's just like all that was dashed away when they fucking just like immediately kill it. Though he does send Hulk to Earth via the Bifrost, which is neat.
He does.
But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of just, nixed Heimdall.
But wouldn't they? But he died within the time frame of everyone else, so why the hell wouldn't they?
That's true. Who knows?
And he's actually sort of super important. Oh, right. Never mind. Asgard's exploded or whatever.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, they make a lot of these, like, drastic changes.
Right.
Like, S.H.I.E.L.D. just doesn't exist anymore.
Right,
right. Asgard blew up. Mm-hmm. All Thor's friends, dead.
Yeah.
Okay, so just totally off topic, but on topic.
Yes.
Iron Spider was pretty neat.
Yeah, I thought everything Spider-Man was pretty neat. I thought his banter with, Doctor Strange and the Guardians was fun, and his, that suit was dope.
That's the thing I was going to say also, back to when we were talking about set pieces. You know that part where he's just on that big-ass ship?
Yeah.
When Iron Man, who else is with him? Doctor Strange, is Wong with them?
I think he goes back to the Sanctum Sanctorum, which is weird.
Yeah, okay. So, Iron Man, Spider-Man, all of them. When Spider-Man's just swinging around on that huge ship,
Yeah.
I was like, see, this is the large spectacle CGI blockbuster done right.
This is what we wanted to see.
This is the kind of stuff I want to see, where it's just like, this is so much larger than life.
Right.
But you don't get bored by any of it, or you're not caught up in the fact that, oh, like, this looks fake. It looked
pretty real.
It looked as real as you can make that kind of thing look.
Yeah, that's difficult to make look real, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I thought they did well, but
right.
I did have another issue.
A little gripe with Thanos. What is it?
Yes. Well, actually, it's kind of twofold. I thought that his motivation in this kind of it felt a little bit like a retcon to what we've seen from other Thanoses in this MCU.
Well, he's
you
usually
know what I mean?
He's trying to impress death usually.
Well, yes, that, and it if I look back on like the Avengers, Joss Whedon 2012, is it 2012 that came out? 2012 Avengers post-credit scene where it's like they go up to Thanos and like I forgot what the line is, but they say something to him and he turns to the camera and he like smirks.
Yeah.
And he's like, eyes are narrowed and he's smiling.
Yeah.
I don't think peace in the universe, and for them to say that that's what Thanos' endgame here in this movie is, I didn't think it jived with that, but that's not this movie's fault. I'd imagine they probably didn't have this movie written at that time.
Right.
My bigger problem with Thanos in this movie is I thought his motivation was a little too, like, not that it didn't make sense. It made sense, but it was just like, really? Like, can't we talk about this? Mm-hmm. Like, first of all, his idea that, like, in order for creation to continue, half of life itself has to be wiped out. And, like, as soon as they uttered that, like, I felt like Joe Rogan, like, when he's on his podcast and he's like, he encounters something like a weird stat. Like, I was like, I'm not sure you're getting those numbers. So I'm like, where's the data on that? Can we pull that up, Jamie? Like,
yeah, Jamie, pull that shit up.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
I was like, it has to be half. If it's 1 over half, it's fucked. Or 1 under, that's it. It doesn't. It's broken.
But he's like, he's Thanos. He's the god of death. He's crazy.
But like, I think it felt more like he was So like, I'll compare it to like The Dark Knight.
Okay.
So like with the Joker in Batman, there's like a fundamental disagreement where it's like Batman thinks that there needs to be order in society because crime, the antithesis of order in society, is what brings people pain, and people shouldn't be in pain, and like he was when he was a child. Whereas the Joker thinks order is the pain in society. There shouldn't be any order because chaos itself is fair.
But he's also just supremely selfish, and that's the thing you have to keep in mind with villains is they can say whatever twisted logic they want,
right?
But at the end of the day, they're pretty selfish, and I don't know. I thought like it kind of it made enough sense where I'm like, yeah, I get how a villain could think that. Yeah,
but like again, like the Joker and Batman, they have a fundamental disagreement. Like at the end of the day, it sounds like Thanos wants peace in the universe, and I don't think anybody on the Avengers doesn't want that. So like I feel like it's like, can we talk about this? Like there's nothing else we can do. Like there was a meme that someone put up where I fucking hated it because I'm like, God damn it, you're making me think about this movie in a way I don't want to now.
What's that?
And it was someone had like Thanos saying, the universe has a finite amount of resources, so I've decided to assemble a reality-altering gauntlet and use that to eliminate half of all life forms, thus ensuring the remaining life forms can live in peaceful worlds of plenty. And then someone put like, anybody else says, why don't you just use that gauntlet to create more resources?
I don't know. That's a good point.
But that's my point. Is it's like,
but Jesus Christ, it's like if you overthink that too much, it's like it's a fucking comic book movie,
right? But
I don't mean that as an excuse to just explain away all logic, but I think at a certain point you have to use the "it's a movie" rule.
Yeah.
Well, how could John Kimball, how could he survive a fall down waterfall that long? Did you know that the average force plus velocity? It's like, Jesus Christ. But all right, physics professor. Yes, none of this makes sense.
Yeah, but the motivation of Thanos is, well, at the end of the day, I just want everybody to be at peace in the universe.
I don't think that is his motivation, though.
Well, that's what he says. He's like, there will be no peace unless there is enough resources for every form of matter. That's his whole thing about Titan is like, which is weird because it's basically like he basically then learned that he was like Jor-El at the beginning of Man of Steel, where he's like, I was telling the elders of my planet that we were running out of resources, and they didn't believe me, and look what happened. And I was like, that's interesting. That reminded me of Man of Steel. It was funny.
I don't know. I think.
It rang weird to me. Like when Killmonger was like, look, there are people in the world that are fucking dying, and we need to arm them. And we have technology in Wakanda that we're squandering here. I was like, I get that, and I get where people would come from with that. And there are people that exist that feel that way. Thanos, he's like, this is the only way. There's no other way to do this. I'm like, there's no other way. Can't you create another reality? Or like another planet or something?
I guess that goes into the rules of the stones. It's like, what can he and can't he do?
And we don't really, there's not necessarily a finite answer for that.
You know what I think it is? He's the god of death, and it's easier to destroy than create.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
That's another thing I think you're undermining here, and what this meme might be undermining. Yes, you can say, well, why doesn't he just create more? But it doesn't seem like he's the kind of dude who's about that anyway. So he's just like, fuck it, I'll just take the easy route.
Yeah, I feel like his motivation in the comics was a little bit more. I mean, he was more of a bad person in the comics, where it's like he wants to wipe out humanity and creation to impress, to basically prove that he can. This is like he's doing it for ultimately good purposes, and I get why they're doing that. They're doing it so that he could be, not just a big purple like Steppenwolf from fucking Justice League, where he's like, fuck Earth, and and I will always vie for the more developed character. But
I am tall and I hate.
I have horns, and it's just like, and I will take Thanos 1,000 times over Steppenwolf. But again, overall, I loved Josh Brolin's character, and I think the character's fine. It's just that it's one of those things where, like, the more I think about it, I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, maybe the motivation will be explained a little bit more in 4.
That's what I'm hoping. There's a lot of things where I'm like, I hope they address that in 4, and I'm sure they will. Generally,
I think they will, and the other thing is, I've been thinking about this on and off. Like, who's to say they won't introduce death in 4?
That's a good question. That's a good point.
I don't know. Like, there hasn't. Again, I try and avoid the rumor mill because I try to avoid spoilers. Mm-hmm. But I think it wouldn't be beyond the realm of possibility that they're like, there's a little more to Thanos than you think, or there's like, well, this secret's being kept. Because didn't they also kind of imply a little bit more with Gamora?
Well, there's that whole scene at the end with Gamora and Thanos talking to each other, like young Gamora, like right when he snaps his fingers, and we cut to like they're on like a weird like plane where they're talking to each other.
Yeah.
And she's like, is it done? And he's like, yes, or whatever. So does she exist? And that was something somebody else said, which is like, does she exist within, is it like the Red Skull thing where like he exists in the cube? Does she exist in the Soul Stone? Stuff like that, where it's like, what's going on there?
That's a good point.
Someone also brought up a thing where they said that half of humanity or half of life wasn't wiped out. It just got moved to a different dimension where they're like waiting. And it's actually something from the comics. It's called like the Soul World or some shit.
Yeah, that's actually, believe it or not, that's one of my blind spots. I've never read was it Infinity War and Infinity Gauntlet stories? I've been meaning to for the longest damn time.
Wasn't there an Infinity, like, wasn't there a
Infinity
reboot?
Watch?
There's like a recent reboot.
Oh yeah, they've redone. They've completely run out of ideas.
I mean,
they've done
it's literally
Civil War 2. They've done Secret Wars again.
Well, the Infinity thing is, it's literally like the Infinite Crisis on Infinite Earths thing. It's like we've done this 10 times in terms of DC.
At least with those, they sort of made them different.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
If I'm not mistaken, like the one in the 80s, whatever the hell it's called, that was 12 issues. Mm-hmm. And then the one after that, the one like 2006 or whatever, it was just like 8 issues.
I have a question.
What you got?
Do you think we're ever going to get to see the Living Tribunal?
How's that? Oh, the like weird, like Cosmos thing with the blue face.
He's got like multiple. He's got like a head with 4 faces on it. He's basically like he's the Living Tribunal. He's like Fate.
Oh, I think we're about to see more of that, and I think the post-credits sequence in this film is, which is the little beeper from the '90s thing with Captain Marvel,
right, with
her little logo on it. I think we're going to explore a lot more of that, and I'm pretty sure Feige has said they're just going to talk about more cosmic stuff and all that shit.
If I were them, I'd cast Stan Lee as the Living Tribunal.
That'd be pretty cool.
And then make all his cameos would actually make some sort of cosmic kind of weird sense in a weird way.
People have talked about that theory that like he's the Watcher and all this.
Oh, the Watcher,
stuff.
yeah.
But there's a whole spat of crazy that could happen in the future. But yeah, so what do you think? So we got Nick Fury.
Yeah, we do. He died,
but he's back. Oh wait, did he get turned to dust?
Yeah, remember he's like it cracked me up because I was like, all right, like he reacted to it like he stubbed his toe.
Oh, he's like motherfucker.
He's like oh motherfucker. And then what's her name? Maria Hill's dead.
Oh yeah,
that's another thing. I'm like, who else is dead? Is Pepper Potts dead? Is Happy Hogan dead? Is Aunt May dead? Is Michael Pena dead? Or Ant-Man and the Wasp dead? Is that before Avengers?
Oh yeah, that whole thing about when does that movie take place? I don't know. I think it takes place before Infinity War. Mm-hmm. Maybe, I don't know. Well, in any event, I think Jesus Christ, we've been talking about this for about 50 minutes.
Far too long.
So, yes, again, let's,
sum it up.
It's got a lot of good action. I thought the characters were all, pretty pitch perfect for the most part. Mm-hmm. Maybe the intercutting took a little bit of it away. There's kind of a cool, glum ending, sort of reminiscent of Empire Strikes Back.
Right.
But, yeah, I'll say this, it's like, man, am I glad I only have to wait a year for the sequel.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was craving more.
Yeah.
And again, I would score this a 4 out of 5.
Yeah, I'm going to push with you and give it an 8 out of 10. I also really, really enjoyed it overall. I think the action was supremely solid. All the performances were great. Surprisingly, for a movie of this kind of, size and caliber. I thought that the characters were well done for the most part. The effects were fantastic. For it being 2.5 hours, it didn't feel like it. Moved pretty quick. I honestly could have used even more.
I kind of agree, especially with some Black Order stuff.
Right.
Could have used a little more.
Yeah, and I overall really enjoyed it. I had a little bit of an issue with certain characterizations, mostly with Thanos and his motivation. And the ending, for me, I wasn't completely sold on it, but I like the idea of it. And if I know where the story's going, I'm probably going to end up liking, whatever the second one's going to be called, even more.
I would imagine I'll end up liking the second one even more.
Right, because it'll be more. Well, because that'll have more of a cathartic ending. I'm hoping. It's probably going to happen.
Right. Oh, sort of off topic. The Black Widow and what's her name, Okoye versus Black Order during Wakanda. That fight within a fight.
Yeah,
that was good shit.
That was good shit.
I was a big fan of that.
That whole fight was great.
I hope to see more Okoye and Black Widow teaming up in the next one.
Wish we could have got more M'Baku. We saw him in it, but we didn't really see him kick ass.
We didn't see him just wreck house. Mm-hmm. But yeah, overall, again, 4 out of 5 for me, 8 out of 10 from you. Go see it if you haven't seen it, but you'll be confused as all hell if you haven't seen basically at least 8 or 9 of the Marvel movies.
Right.
So yeah, it was good. Good time.
Keep it coming, MCU.
Yeah, that's right. Looking forward to the next one. End review. Oh, man. Okay, so there's a lot to cover there. All right, so we don't have a ton of time, so we're just going to end with one game. And this game is called Guess the Movie based on the DVD chapters. Pretty self-explanatory. Robert, would you like to quiz me first?
I sure would. All so, here's 3 chapters from this particular film.
All right.
Chapter 1 is called The Weenie. Chapter 2, The Thing Behind the Fence. And then Chapter 3, Mr. Myrtle's Deal.
This is Sandlot?
It is Sandlot. Good, very good.
Yeah. All right. So I got a couple for you. All right. I didn't number the chapters.
I didn't either. I was doing that for
all right.
OCD's sake.
All right. So here we go. Your 3 chapters for this feature film are The Velocipheres, Khan's Army, and Jade's Betrayal.
Oh, man. It's one of the Mortal Kombats. Is it Mortal Kombat Annihilation?
How did you know which one of the 2 it was?
Because it's the better one?
Yeah, it is. Again, we've discussed that, we're going to start an online petition.
Yeah.
For its place in the Library of Congress.
It's been discussed.
It should be discussed even more.
Still getting the funds together, but...
Right. We're starting an Indiegogo.
Yes.
And we swear we're not going to funnel the money into Swiss bank accounts.
No. I don't even know where Swiss is.
Yeah, what's a Swiss? All right, moving along. You got one for me?
I sure do. So we have Infiltrating the Kremlin, Up to the Server Room, and Sandstorm.
Ooh, I'm going to guess... Oh, I know this one. I just saw this recently. It's one of the Jack Ryan movies. God, what's it called? Patriot Games.
It's actually Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol.
God damn it. I was so sure it was Patriot Games.
Remember that fucking scene from Ghost Protocol where they're in the Kremlin and they have that weird camera device?
Oh, the one that makes it look
screen?
Yeah, the one that makes it look like a hallway.
God damn it.
That's my favorite part of the movie.
It's so that's creative.
Yeah, man, Brad Bird.
Anyway.
Yeah, moving along. Your next one is Meeting in the Church. Quote, they get married just like people. And quote, I'm glad what I done to you.
Oh, man. Ooh.
Gonna need a response, sir.
Scarface?
Wrong. It was close, but the correct answer was On the Waterfront.
Right. Good guess. Or good quiz.
No, it was not a good guess.
No, it was a poor guess.
It was actually, it wasn't a terrible guess.
No. It was about 30 years off.
All right, Or 20 if it's the old one.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
All right, moving along. What you got?
I have J.R. and Jack, Alone with June, and Busted.
All right, I have no idea.
Walk the Line.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, I thought you're a big Man in Black fan.
Oh, I am, but I just haven't seen the movie.
Well, if you're a Man in Black fan, you'll know that Johnny Cash's name is actually J.R. Cash.
All right, whatever. I guess I'm not the biggest Johnny Cash fan. Whatever.
It's all good.
I mean, I like his music. I just don't know his life story.
Well, the movie's pretty good.
All right, I should see it. All right, moving along. Yours is now this next one is very, very easy. Main title.
Okay.
No, I'm kidding. It's main title / media break. Jesus had days like this and A Brand New City.
Ooh. Media break. Jesus had days like this in A Brand New City.
I'm gonna need an answer, sir.
Is it Escape from New York?
No, but that was actually relatively close.
What is it?
It was RoboCop 2.
Damn. That's
like within the realm.
Yeah.
You were pretty close.
Okay.
All right, what you got?
I have Mark of the Legion, A Man for the People, and Am I Not Merciful? This one might be easy.
Fuck. Is this Gladiator?
It is Gladiator.
Okay, I thought so. I think the Am I Not Merciful and our recent discussion where we brought up Gladiator during our review kind of helped with that.
Am I Not Merciful? Indeed, a line that Joaquin Phoenix screams in the movie.
Exactly. Okay, so next you've got... Okay, this I just apologize in advance. You're never going to get this one.
Copy that.
Up the Tailpipe, Nothing But the Truth, and Something in the Woods.
Is it Predator?
No, it's Liar Liar.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I heard Up the Tailpipe, and I'm like, Beverly Hills Cop.
Yeah.
And then I heard Something in the Woods, and I'm like, with Predator?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Weird.
I don't remember Arnold Schwarzenegger and his buddies shoving oranges up the tailpipes of
of the
who the hell were they fighting?
I don't even know. Isn't it a
Whatever.
fake country?
Like whatever generic South American rebels.
Right.
Like, it'd be really funny if they start the cars and they cannot go. I can't do an Arnold.
Oh.
But no one can except like two people. So hey, who cares?
And Arnie himself.
That's right.
So your next couple of chapters are Quicksand, The Waco Kid, and Beanfest.
Oh, I know this one. I think. Wait, is it Blazing Saddles?
It sure is. God damn it, these are too easy.
Beanfest. That gave it away.
I needed to include that.
Like,
I couldn't not.
especially like, what other chapter in any movie is going to be called Beanfest?
Oh man, that's a good point.
That was much too easy, but because like Quicksand, I was thinking it was like Scorpion
Mummy
King
or
or something.
something?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Scorpion King or Mummy. Yeah. All right, so moving on to your next one. Funeral rites, barn raising, be careful among the English.
Ooh. It's not The Patriot, is it?
No. The correct answer was Witness, the 1985 Harrison Ford hit
Ah.
with Kelly McGillis. Who,
Peter Weir directed that.
Who's he?
He did Truman Show and
Did he really?
He sure did. I think that was him, right? He did Witness, and then he also did that movie called Fearless about Jeff Bridges, and he gets all like almost dies in a plane, and it's weird.
Okay, well, see, whenever someone brings up Fearless, and I'm like, you mean the Jet Li movie? And then they say, no, I mean the other one. I just get all sad.
You know what's weird, because like I feel like people like the other Fearless,
Which?
the Jet Li.
Yeah, dude, that's a great movie.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's your next one?
My next and final chapter, little handful, is Another Kill, Billy's Last Stand, and The Last Laugh.
Another Kill, Billy's... Oh, damn it, I know this one. Wait, Another Kill, Billy's Last Stand. Is this Rebel Without a Cause?
This was Predator.
Oh, damn it.
Yeah. See, because I heard you say something in the woods or whatever, and I was like, is that Predator? Because, like, as I was looking this up, I could have swore that was like, oh no, it was the Billy line, something in those trees.
Oh, yeah.
That's one of the chapter titles, but,
Okay.
well, good guess.
Here's your final one. A Lesson in Cheating, Winter Festival Romance, and The Playoffs.
Ooh, Winter Festival. Oh,
This should be relatively easy.
Lesson in Cheating.
Or maybe not.
What was the second chapter?
Winter Festival Romance. Duh.
It's not.
I'll give you the three again. A Lesson in Cheating, Winter Festival Romance, and The Playoffs.
Is it Hoosiers?
No, dude, it's Mighty Ducks.
Oh, God!
Remember? Take the fall, act hurt.
Yeah, God damn it.
And then Winter Festival Romance, when Coach Bombay is hanging with Charlie's mom.
Right. God damn.
In perfect 90s divorced parent movie fashion.
Yes, got some of that.
Or is the dad dead? Or
I don't know. There was a lot of that.
I just assume they're always divorced in 90s movies.
They did that in Kindergarten Cop.
Kindergarten Cop had divorced parents.
Santa Claus.
Santa Claus. The best movie ever, Kazam.
Oh, man. Yeah, well, I think we have a pretty decisive winner here in Not Me.
How many did I get?
You got at least 3.
All right, so we are not going to tally because we're lazy. Hooray!
Yes. Good job.
So, yeah, that does it for the game.
Yes.
And we're sorry that the review took forever. And if you hated it, feel free to...
Pick it Marvel.
Yeah.
Pick it fucking Disney. It's their fault for giving us a movie with so much to talk about.
Yeah, damn them. But anyway, that's our review. That's our game, and yeah, we'll have more different things next time. But anyway, thank you for listening. And if you'd like to hear more or hear from us or anything, feel free to like us on Facebook at Bonus Features with Alex and Robert. That's the name of the Facebook page, and you can find us on YouTube. Google it, whatever. So just like, comment, subscribe, whatever. Yeah, so see you guys next time.
See you then.